Good morning or good afternoon. Today we're going to be going over calculator skills number 1. And we will be working with Desmos, and we're going to be going over at least 16 to 18 problems in every single calculator skills number 1. Remember that I have aligned it to our STAAR state assessment, whether it being 25, 24, 23, or one of the state Algebra 1 end of course assessment. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and go to Google, and we're first going to input the Desmos calculator STAAR version. And once you input the Desmos calculator STAAR version, you're going to go ahead and click on the graphing calculator, and it will give us our Desmos. So if we are given the first one, we are given a table of x and y's. We want to find the rate of change, we want to find the zero, we want to find the y-intercept, and we also want to find the slope-intercept form. So what we do is we press this plus sign right here, and then we're going to click on table, and then what we're going to do is we're going to input all our terms, our numbers from -3, -2, -1, and the common one is -4, -7, and -10. So let me go ahead and do the inputting. At any time, we will be doing identical problems, and of course you can just stop the video at any time, practice them, and see if you did the problems correctly. This is going to be start prep material that we are going to be covering in order to get you at the meets and masters level on this end of course for STAAR Algebra 1. So let me continue my inputting. Okay, so once I have inputted, all I do is find this little line with the dots or line with a leaf. I went ahead and press it, and automatically you can see my linear was formed. It gives me my equation as y equals -3x minus 13. So once again, Desmos has done everything for us. All we have to do is be able to interpret what Desmos is telling us. So I'm going to go ahead and click with blue ink so I can work with blue ink, and I'm going to input my y-intercept form. Y equals to -3x minus 13. So if you don't know where that is, it is given to me right here under linear regression. Remember, you must put linear regression, and that is your line. Next, I'm going to find my x-intercept. My x-intercept is -4.33, comma 0. So that's the same as my 0, so that is -4.333, comma 0. Then I'm going to go to my y-intercept, and I'm going to see where it crosses my y-axis, and it is going to cross at 0, comma -13. Last, I'm going to be looking for my rate of change. Remember, rate of change, another word for rate of change is slope. So just by remembering that I know that y equals mx plus b, where m is the slope, I'm going to look at my y-intercept equation, which I can look on Desmos. It's a number next to a letter, which is -3 right here, so my slope is -3. Or I can look at this equation that I wrote, and the answer is -3, so my slope is -3. And once again, I have a negative slope, so I have a downwards for the line. It's going down the mountain, and that is correct. So once again, we do have number 1 there. Next, we're given a second table. We're given a number 2. They want to find the same concepts of rate of change, our 0, our y-intercept, and our slope. So once again, if I want to leave the table there, I can leave the table there. I'm going to go ahead and take it away. I'm going to get this one as you're going to put the plus sign, and then you're going to input the table. You're going to put -5, comma, -5. Then I'm going to go -4, comma, -10 is my second order pair. And then my third one is -3, comma, -15. Going to have my line. I'm going to go ahead and press the button of the leaf, and I can find my equation right here, y equals negative 5x minus 30, where I can find my slope or rate of change of being negative 5, and my y-intercept being negative 30. So once again, I'm going to go ahead and first input my y-intercept form, which is y equals to negative 5x minus 30. And then, of course, I want to find my x-intercept, which is my 0. It is negative 6, comma 0. And remember, my 0 is my x-intercept. And my y-intercept, all I have to do is move the line and find out where it crosses my y-axis, which is going to be about right there, 0, comma negative 30. And then my rate of change is my slope. Just by looking at this equation, I see my slope or my rate of change being negative 5. And again, on the calculator, you can go ahead and do that. Okay, let's go to problem number 3. As you can see, problem number 3 is a function. They're asking me for g of x is equal to 3, open parentheses, x minus 3 squared minus 4. So once again, all I have to do, the work I have to do is I got to understand that g of 16, what is the value of g of 16? The only thing I need to know is x equals to 16. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to input wherever there's an x, 16. So all I do is input in Desmos. And once again, putting it right here, and you might be tempted to press f of x expression. Do not press f of x expression. All you have to do is input this the way it is. So we're going to be doing 3, open parentheses. What is x? X is 16, so I'm going to go ahead and input 16 minus 3, quantity square. And once again, if I make an error, all I have to do is come in and input a 3. Quantity square, and I cannot forget my minus 4. And the answer, Desmos does it for us. The answer is 503. And that is my answer. Without doing any work and with only understanding that g of 16 is my function. So we're going to go on to number 4. So number 4 is h of x is equal to 5, open parentheses, 3 minus x, all quantity square minus 1/2. The only thing I have to understand is that x equals to negative 4. So I'm just going to place wherever x is, it is negative 4. And do not forget that since we know x is negative 4, so you got to understand that we're going to do 5, open parentheses, 3 minus 4, square minus 1/2. So let's go ahead and put it in Desmos. So it's going to be 5, open parentheses, 3 minus 4, close parentheses, all quantity square, minus 1 divided by 2, which is 1/2. So that is my answer, 244.55. 244.55. And again, Desmos does all the work for us. Let's go on to problem number 5. So we are going to look at problem number 5. We have a linear table. It's telling us that it is a linear table. I'm going to be given a x and an f of x. I want to input the function of what x plus what number. And remember that f of x is just a fancy word of saying y. So once again, we don't have to do this, but if you want to, you could put y there and y there. That is the same thing as the fancy y. So I'm going to go ahead and input it into the table exactly the way it's given. So I input the table, and I'm going to go ahead and input negative 4, comma, negative 6, exactly the way they give it to us in the table. Negative 3, comma, negative 11. And then negative 2, comma, negative 16. Then I'm going to push my little leaf, and then I'm going to get my linear equation, y equals negative 5x minus 26. I know my slope is negative 5. It's a negative slope, so the line is going down. And my y-intercept is negative 26. So that gives me my answers. So once again, I want to input what I know. 0, comma, negative 26 is my y-intercept, so I'm going to do 0, comma, 26. I already have my y-intercept. Then I go all the way down. I want to find my x-intercept, but then I need to go up because, again, it is at the 0 origin. So we got to find out what is our x-intercept, and our x-intercept is negative 5.2, comma, 0. I'm going to change to blue ink, and I want to find my rate of change. My rate of change is another fancy word for slope. All I'm going to do is come and find my f of x is equal to blank x plus whatever it is, and then I'm going to look right here, and it gives me negative 5 is right here, and then I have a negative 26, which I input like this. This would probably be a drag and drop, so the way I would write it is y equals to negative 5x plus negative 26, which is the same thing as negative 26. So my slope is right here, negative 5. So my slope is negative 5. And my 0, if I look at the equation, it is negative 5.2. That is my 0. And once again, if you want to try the second problem, you see how I do the first problem. You can pause the video and see how we do the second problem. Pause it and then do the work, and then go ahead and unpause it and see if you got the right answer. So we're going to do the next function table. So once again, g of x is just another fancy word for saying y. I'm going to go ahead and press the plus sign. I'm going to go ahead and input the table, negative 3, comma, negative 4. So all I'm doing is inputting at this time. Negative 2, comma, 9. And negative 1, comma, 14. We're going to push the regression button, and it gives us our equation, y equals 5x plus 19. So inside this equation, I am going to put 5 belongs here, and then of course positive 19 belongs there. If I want to rewrite it, it is y equals to 5x plus 19, which is the same thing as g of x is equal to 5x plus 19. My rate of change, I can see it already. It is right here next to the x is the 5. My x-intercept, I'm going to come to my graph, and I'm going to put it negative 3.8, comma, 0. And my y-intercept, I'm just going to find it on the graph. I'm going to look for my y-intercept, and it is 0, comma, 19. And once again, my x-intercept is the same as 0, so my 0 is negative 3.8. So once again, I have my x-intercept, I have my y-intercept, I have my 0, and I have my rate of change. So once again, with learning how to do the Desmos, Desmos does everything for us. Now this is not a Desmos problem. This is more like a FOIL double distributive. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do this one. So I'm going to get it in blue ink. I'm going to start off with this one, and I'm going to distribute 3h squared times 4h gives me 12h cubed. And then I'm going to distribute into that one, and then 3h squared plus times positive 6 gives me a positive 18h squared. And then remember what we did before. I'm done with that one. I'm going to do the next one. So I'm going to distribute right here into this one. Positive 4h times 4h gives me a positive 16h squared. And then I'm going to distribute here into this one. And then, of course, 4h times 6 gives me a total of 24h. And then I'm done with this one. I will go ahead and delete it. And I'm going to do my last one. I'm going to distribute this one into this one. So 5 times 4h gives me a 20h. And then, of course, my last one I'm going to distribute here. And that's going to give me 5 times 6, which gives me a positive 30. Last but not least, I'm going to go ahead and, is there any other h squares? H cubes? No, so I'm going to leave it alone, h cubed, and then I'm going to cross it out. I have 18h squared, and then I have 16h squared, so I'm going to go ahead and combine like terms, and that gives me a total of positive 30, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34h squared. Going to get rid of that one. Now I look at my h's. I have a 24h and a positive 20h, which gives me a 44h. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that one, and there's no combining like terms with just 30, so I'm just going to bring it down. So that is my final answer. 12h cubed, 34h squared, positive 44h, and of course positive 30. So once again, if you want to try number 8, you can go ahead and try it and see if you do it correctly without, if you want to pause the video, you can. So let me go ahead and solve it for you. So I'm going to get it in blue ink. I'm going to start off with this one. I'm going to go 5x squared times 3x gives me a total of 15x cubed. I'm going to distribute again to that one. Then 5x squared minus 4 is negative 20x squared. I'm done with that one. I delete it. I go on to this one. Negative 3x times positive 3x gives me a negative 9x squared. And once again, if I don't know how to multiply negative 3 times 3, then all I'll have to do is input it into the decimals. Then I'm going to distribute here into this, and that gives me a positive 12x. And then I'm done with this one. I'm going to get rid of it. And then, of course, I'm going to go ahead and do my last distributive, which gives me a positive 6x minus an 8, because I distribute here into here. So then I'm going to combine like terms. There's no more like terms here, so it gives me 15x cubed. I'm going to combine here and here. That gives me a 29, negative 29x squared. Get rid of this, get rid of that. Positive 12x plus 6x gives me a positive 18x. And then, of course, my negative 8, and that is my simplified form. So once again, if you don't know how to multiply 2 times negative 4, all you have to do is input it into decimals and let the decimals do the work for you. So technically these are not calculators, but again, if you do not know what 2 times negative 4 is, all you have to do is multiply. It gives me a negative 8. So we're going to go on to number 9, where we're going to solve this equation. And instead of solving the equation, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say which one is an answer or solution set. Open parentheses x plus 7, close parentheses square equals 81. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to test out every single one of them and see if it is a solution set. If it is a solution set, the first one, then I'm going to test out the second one. And if they're both solution sets, then that is the answer. But you got to be careful, because sometimes I don't give answers and sometimes I give more than one answer. So I need to check out everything. So in place of x, I'm going to check out negative 74. So I'm going to just input it into decimals, find out if it gives us the answer. I'm going to open parentheses. I'm going to do negative 74 positive 7 quantity square, which is this one. And that gives me 81. No, it doesn't. So I know this one is not a solution set. Then I'm going to check my next one. And to make it easier, I don't have to input everything. All I have to do is check negative 2. I'm going to come to my decimals. And instead of retyping everything, I can if I want to. But all I do is check negative 2. So I'm just going to input 2. Negative 2 plus 7. Quantity square is equal to 81. It says it's 25, so that one is wrong, so that one is wrong. So I'm going to go ahead and input the last one, which is negative 88. So I'm going to go ahead and place an 88 here, and that gives me 6,561, which is also wrong. So this does not give you an answer. So this is no answer or no solution. So sometimes I do love to test you and to check to make sure that you do it correctly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to check this one the same way I do each and every single one of them. But you got to be careful, because here it is 2 times a number plus 1 quantity square. So you're going to test the first one, and the way you input that one is you open parentheses 2.9 plus 1 quantity square has to give you 41. So let's go ahead and check that one on our decimals. So we're going to go ahead and open parentheses. We're going to do 2 times 9 positive 1, close parentheses, quantity square gives us 361. That is not an answer, so that is not a correct answer. So I'm going to go ahead and exit out that one. And then I'm going to check the second one. And of course, I don't have to redo everything. All I have to do is change the first one right here. 2 times 3 plus 1 quantity square. So all I have to do is change this one to a 3. And it does give me 41. So yay, I have the right answer. Then I'm going to check the second one. And I'm just going to replace here in my calculator. And I'm going to go ahead and replace that with a negative 4. And it gives me my answer of 49. So this is a solution set. So yes, we have one. But I don't want to leave anything to chance. I'm going to go ahead and test this one as x being 4. So I'm going to go ahead and take this out. And I'm just going to put 4. That gives me an 81. Automatically, that's the wrong answer. So once again, double check. And that is a solution set. So the answer is only B. Great job. Next, I'm going to be given on number 11, I'm going to be given quadratic, and we just finished going over quadratic. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and input this into the equation. X squared plus 10x positive 25. And I have one x-intercept right here. I have a y-intercept up here. I have a vertex. This is called a minimum. So this one is interesting because it only has one x-intercept. So I'm going to make sure it does have a 1 x-intercept. Yes. So our vertex is negative 5, 0. Is this a minimum or a maximum? It is a minimum because it is at the bottom of the graph. Remember our trick, axis of symmetry. We're going to put x equals to the axis of symmetry, which is the x value of the vertex, which is negative 5. So that is our axis of symmetry. Next, I'm going to find my y-intercept. So I'm going to go here, and I'm going to try to find my y-intercept. My y-intercept is 0, 25. And then my 0, this one I only have one 0, and I'm going to click on it, and it is negative 5, 0. Once again, it is a minimum because it is at the bottom. I have my axis of symmetry, I have my y-intercept, and I have my 0. So once again, if you want to try the next one, you can go ahead and pause. Please, please, please don't go to Desmos, put the plus sign, and try to put in f of x because it's going to just confuse your equation. So once again, let's input the second one. I'm going to get rid of that one. And I'm going to find the same thing. Vertex, minimum, maximum, axis of symmetry, y-intercept, and 0. So once again, I'm going to go ahead and input the equation. And it's going to be x squared positive 12x. And then positive 36. So once again, I have my U shape, and then I'm going to look for my axis of symmetry. Does this have one vertex? It does. Is it a minimum? It is a minimum, so we already know that it's a minimum. And my vertex is negative 6, 0. And sometimes we want to check the work to make sure it is correct, and it is. Our trick to find the axis of symmetry, once again, you circle the x, so it's going to be x equals to a number. And what is that number? It is my x value of my vertex. My x value of the vertex is negative 6, which is my x value right here. Next, I'm going to find my y-intercept. That's an easy one to find. All I do is scroll up on the graph, and I find where it crosses the y-axis. It crosses about here. I need for it to stick. It doesn't stick. Move it up, 0, 36. So that is my y-intercept, 0, 36. And then I want to find my 0, and that is where it crosses my x-axis. So again, I can scroll up, but here it is. My 0 is about right there, and my 0 is negative 6. It only has one point where it crosses my x-axis, so that is called my 0. And if I want to put in negative 6, 0, then that's okay. If I want to put my x-intercept there, and that is fine with me. It's the same as my vertex. So now we're moving on to number 13. So number 13, it says which expression is a factor of 5x squared minus 30x minus 80. So what you're going to do on this one is you're going to input this one into 1, and then you're going to input 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then once again, by looking at that, you're going to be able to see all of them. So what I do, and if it's a factor, we got to make sure that it crosses the x-intercept. It's got to cross. If it doesn't cross through the x-intercept, then it's not a factor. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a lot of inputting into decimals, and you're going to let the decimals do the work. You're going to do 5x squared minus 30x minus 80. So I'm going to look for it here, and I have my two x-intercepts, one right there at 8, 0, and one at negative 2, 0. So that is my main focus. I'm going to find to see if it crosses one of my two x-intercepts. If it crosses, then it's a factor. If it is not, then of course it is not a factor. So I'm going to input the first one as letter A on column number 2, or row number 2. And this is x minus 7. Does it cross my x-intercept? No, it does not. So then again, it is not a factor. Then I'm going to do my next one. It's going to be x minus 4. So I'm going to come to decimals and input x minus 4. And does it pass one of my x-intercepts? There's one x-intercept. Nope. There's my other x-intercept. Nope. So this one is also not a factor. And then since the lines are becoming confusing and blurry, what I'm going to do is I'm going to uncheck this one, and I'm checking this one. So I'm going to input this in 4, x minus 8. So I'm going to put x minus 8. And there it is. It does cross my x-intercept. So once again, C is a factor. Yes. And then I'm going to put in x plus 2 in my next one, and I'm going to uncheck this one. And then I'm going to type in x plus 2. And another one that passes through my x-intercept. So again, this is my factor, x plus 2. And then I'm going to type in my last one to check it. And I want to get rid of this line, so I'm going to click on the red. And I'm going to put in my last one, x plus 4. And this one does not pass through neither one of my x-intercepts, so this one is not a factor. So then this one, there are two factors, x minus 8, x plus 2. And if I want to check them just to be sure, then I can check that this one was not a factor. And then I can check the other one, that is x minus 4 is not a factor. And x minus 7 is not a factor. So neither one of them crosses through my x-intercept. So I have negative 2, 0, and 8, 0. So my answer is correct. Now I want to check the other ones. I unclick these, and then I check the other ones. I'm going to say x plus 2 is a factor, and x minus 8 is a factor. Do they cross my x-intercept? Yes. Do they cross my x-intercept? Yes. So once again, I checked and checked, and now I know that they are factors. So we're going to do the next one. And the next one is interesting because which expression is a factor of 2x squared? Positive 6x. So I'm going to go ahead and delete all my work from my previous problem. And I'm going to input the first one in decimals. So I'm going to go ahead and input 2x squared positive 6x. And this gives me my U shape. It also gives me my vertexes, my vertex, and it also gives me my x-intercept, which is 0, 0, and negative 3, 0. Now I'm going to check every single one of them to see if it passes. So all I'm going to do is input x minus 3. That one is not a factor because it does not pass through my x-intercept, so I can already get rid of that one. And then I'll check my next one. That one is a factor. It does pass through my x-intercept, so this is an answer. That is a yes. I'm going to continue to check the rest. X plus 6. That one is not a factor. It doesn't pass through my x-intercept. That one is bad. So I'm going to continue to check the rest. I'm going to keep my factor there. I'm going to go ahead and do x minus 7. That one is not even close to being a factor, so then that one is wrong. And then I'm going to check my last one as x plus 5. That one is not a factor. So this one does have only one factor, and if I want to double check every single one of them, all I have to do is click on Desmos. I can highlight that one and make it visible, and I can highlight that one that makes it visible. The only one that goes through one of my x-intercepts of my U-shape is this one, which is negative 3, 0, which is x plus 3, which is a red one, and that is our answer. So hopefully that helped you on factors. We're going to look at the last four. Given x plus 5 equals 108. So what we're going to do is we're going to check every single one of these in Desmos. And once again, the trick that I use is input the first one, and all I do is check every single one and change the numbers instead of having to retype everything. But since it's a small equation, I can go ahead and retype the rest if I want. But I'm going to go ahead and put the first one as it being 115. There are too many ones. I'm going to place it there, 5. And then I'm going to open parentheses, 115, positive 5, close parentheses. Gives me 13,000. This is not an answer because it doesn't give me 108. Then what I'm going to do is change the 115s to 108. So I can always click here and go and change that to 108. And then I could click here, change it to 108. So I have 12,204. That is not an answer. And then if I want to just click on the 108s, change them to 36, and then change it to 36. And that gives me 14,700. So this one has no solution. Or we can just say no answer. Okay, our third to the last problem, we're going to do the same thing. This time we're going to change it to be x, open parentheses, x plus 3. So the only thing that changes is the positive 3, and now it has to equal to 108. So if I want to resubmit it, and I want to test out the first one as it being 4, and I'm going to check to see if that's the right answer. So I'm going to put it on the Desmos, and in place of x, I'm going to put 4, so I can test them out. 4 right here, so I can test it out. So I'm going to go ahead and input it in the Desmos. I'm going to put 4 open parentheses, and I did it wrong, so I got to go back. I'm going to put the 4 open parentheses, 4 plus 3, close parentheses. That has to get me to 108. It does not, so this is a wrong answer. So then all I'm going to do is replace the x now with 6, 6, 6. Right there, and then I'm going to replace that. So instead of doing that, I'm going to put 6, and instead of doing that one, I'm going to put 6. And once again, it gives me 54, does not give me 108, so that is not an answer. So I'm going to check my last one to see if it does give me 108. If it does give me 108, then it's correct. If it doesn't give me 108, then it's wrong. So I'm going to change the 6s to 9s, and it does give me 108, so that is my answer. And once again, if I want to recheck it, I can recheck it if I need to. Our last two problems that we are going to work with are going to be subtraction of integers and division of integers. So what I'm going to do with this one is interesting because we did go over. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and do my big division sign here. So the best course of action is always to do the big division sign, which is the same division sign here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first of all do the 2 divided by 6, and I'm going to start with the ladder, and I'm going to start at the second floor. Are they both divisible by 2? And they are, so I'm going to divide the top by 2, and I'm going to divide the bottom by 2. So then I'm going to divide 2 divided by 2 gives me 1, and 6 divided by 2 gives me 3. So on the top, I'm going to put 2 divided by 2 gives me 1, and of course 6 divided by 2 gives me 3. And if you don't believe me, input it into the decimals, and it does it for you. So 2 divided by 2 gives me 1, and then I want to try 6 divided by 2 gives me 3. Okay, the next step is to get my x's and my x's, and I know my row of integers. I have my x and my x. I'm going to go ahead and put my x at the very top. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract integers. So all I'm going to do is subtract 15 minus negative 4. And all I'm going to do is input that into the decimals. And I do 15 minus negative 4. And that gives me a positive 19. I do not have a negative, so that is my answer right there. So my simplified format is 1/3 x to the 19th power. And our last problem for today is another integer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to put an equal sign here. I'm going to do a long sign. And if you want to try it out before I do it, you can pause the video. And once again, I'm going to look at this and I'm going to start on the second floor. Are they both divisible by 2? They are. So they both divisible by 2. Divisible by 2. That gives me 2 divided by 2 gives me 1. And 8 divided by 2 gives me 4. Then I have a pair of x's when divising that you're dividing. So I'm going to go ahead and put an x there. So I'm dividing an x to the 12 and an x to a negative 5. And whenever I divide integers, I'm going to go ahead and subtract them. 12 minus negative 5. So I'm going to put it in my trusty decimals. I put 12 minus negative 5 gives me 17. That is a positive, so it's 1/4 x to the 17th. I'm not going to throw it anywhere. It's going to stay the same, and that is my answer. Hopefully, by going over STAAR Review number 1, what I would recommend, our calculator skills number 1, STAAR Review number 1, what I would recommend is to look at how one problem is done, the one on the left side, and then pause the video and then do the next problem by yourselves, and then see if you get the right answer on our problems. So I hope this has helped you. We will continue with calculator skills, and thank you so much for your time.